Hello and welcome back. I'm your instructor Sunil, and in this section we are going to learn about MongoDB backup and restore. MongoDB backup and restore is same process of restoring and backupping your data as we do in the other databases. The process is the same, but the tools and the commands will be little different from the relational databases. So if you are a DBA and you have been doing this backup and restore with MySQL database or Oracle database, you will not be facing any problem. And if you are new and you are learning databases with MongoDB with this class, then also you are not going to face any problems, as MongoDB backup and restore is pretty simple and very easy to do. But thing is, we have to take care of some things that we need to take care in everywhere. Okay, so if you are planning to go with the MongoDB backup and restore, then you have to consider something that we will discuss, and then we'll see how we can proceed with the backup and restore. So MongoDB backup and restore is the process of backupping your database. So when we talk about the databases, there are few things that we need to keep in mind when we are creating our database and it is in the transaction or it is live and we have deployed our database and our application is live and we are doing transaction with the database and our database is constantly getting updated. One thing is very important while working with databases are to keep the backup of the most recent databases, the tables or the documents in MongoDB. So it is very important to have backup for your database, because in some situations when something happens, like your system crashed or your hardware crashed or your application crashed and you have no storage, no backup of your data, you will not be able to restore, you will not able to get the transaction data that you have missed while that mishap happens with your hardware or your database systems. So in case of any emergency or in case of any hardware failure or database application failure, you need to have some backup of your databases, so that from those backups of or even the archive files you can restore and you can get back your data. So to keep the data consistent, to keep the data relevant, to keep the data with you all the time in every situation, you have to know how to do backup and restore for your databases. And this practice is always there in every business, every application, because irrelevant, it is irrelevant of the databases, whether we are using the relational database or NoSQL database or Graph database or whatever database you are using, you have to have the backup for your database, because with that only you can be sure that you, in case of any mishap, you can get your data back, and with that you can restore your application. So database backup and restore is very important, and in this whole section we are going to learn about the database backup and restore. So let me start with the MongoDB backup and restore. Okay, so before we proceed with the actual hands-on, let me tell you a little bit of the MongoDB backup and restore. So MongoDB backup and restore we do with the different styles. The most popular and the most easiest tools are MongoDump and MongoRestore. MongoDump and MongoRestore are the utilities that comes with the MongoDB download. When you download and when you install the MongoDB, you will get the MongoDump and MongoRestore utilities with that. And with MongoDump and MongoRestore we can backup our MongoDB databases, collections, and whatever you want inside a MongoDB database you can restore and you can backup and restore you can do. So MongoDump is the utility to dump the data. Dump means we are going to create a backup of the MongoDB database. So we use Mongo dump utility to create the backup of the existing database. And Mongo restore is another utility. With the help of Mongo restore utility, we will be restoring the MongoDB database from the Mongo dump. So with the dump, we will create the backup, and with the Mongo restore, we will restore back the database from the Mongo dump. Okay, so these are two utilities, and these utilities work with the Bison data dumps. Okay, so whenever you are creating any document, we are storing actually we are writing JSON, but actually in the database it is getting stored as a Bison document. Okay, so these Mongo dump will also work with the Bison data dumps. Okay, and this is useful for creating backups for a small deployment. If you have a large applications or a large, suppose a banking application, and you want to go with the Mongo dump and Mongo restore, then it is not advisable. For that, we'll see in the different section how we can go with those backup and restore for the large deployments, but the small deployment for your small applications, mid-level applications, you can go with the Mongo dump. And if you are learning MongoDB, you can practice with the Mongo dump and Mongo restore. So for small applications, small databases, small deployments, MongoDB, Mongo dump and Mongo restore is very fine. And for the very resilient and non-disruptive backups where you are constantly interacting with the database, your applications are live and you need not to take any risk, then in those large resilient applications, you can use a file system backup or block level disk snapshot function to create backup. That we'll see later, but for now we are going to use Mongo dump, since we are working on a local system and our databases are not that big, our applications are not big. So Mongo dump and Mongo restore, they work with the Bison document, and they are useful for if your database deployments are small. Now we are good to go with the MongoDB backup and restore, because we know there are two utilities, Mongo dump and Mongo restore. Let's see what are the consideration we should keep in mind while going for the backup and restore. So performance considerations for backup and restore with MongoDB are very few, but they are very important. First thing is you have to keep in mind that Mongo dump and Mongo restore operate by interacting with a running MongoDB instance. They can impact the performances of your running database. Since Mongo dump and Mongo restore, they will be working with your live or running MongoDB instance, it can impact the running databases. So you have to be careful that if your current running application is going to hurt, you have to be careful. Okay, you should know that these are going to impact your current running databases. Okay, not only do the tools create traffic for a running database instance, they also force the database to read all data through memory. Okay, and when MongoDB reads frequently used data, it can evict more frequently accessed data, causing a deterioration in performance for the database regular workload. Since we are creating database dump and it will work with the recent data or the running data through memory, it may create an extra workload for your database, and it can impact the performance of your application because we have an extra workload on our database while we are dumping our data or creating the backup or restoring the backup. Okay, so you have to be careful. It is always advisable that you put your application down and then create the backup and restore. In that way, it will not going to impact your running database. This usually done on the weekends or the holidays, so that no users will be interacting with your database. So that thing you have to keep in mind, or you can test with your backup data in the test environment or the UAT environment, user acceptance test environments and all, and later on a holiday, on a work off day, you can deploy, or you can do the backup on your production database. So you have to keep these things in mind. When backing up your data with MongoDB tools, consider the following guidelines, and these guidelines are directly from the MongoDB website. So label the files. The first one is label files so that you can identify the content of the backup as well as the point in time that backup reflects. So it is always advisable that you should label your files so that you can identify, like you can label your files like version 1, version 1.1, or like for test environment, for UAT environment, so that you can identify, okay, this backup is for test environment, this backup for UAT environment, this backup is for production environment. So you have to label your files so that you can easily identify the content of the backup and you can easily work with them. And you should also label at what point of time, at what date and what time you have taken the backup, so that you can be knowing that till this time you have the backup and after that you don't have the backup. Okay, so you can differentiate. The second consideration is use an alternative backup strategies such as file system snapshot or MongoDB Cloud Manager if the performance impact of MongoDump and Mongo Restore is unacceptable for your case. Suppose your application is big and you cannot put your application down to perform the dump operation, you can go with the file system snapshot backup strategy, or you can use MongoDB Cloud Manager to take the backup. And it is always advisable, if your application is large, you should not go with the MongoDump or Mongo Restore. Okay. The third consideration is use op log, that is operation log, to capture incoming write operation during the MongoDump operation to ensure that backups reflects a consistent data state. So you can look at the op log to capture the incoming write operations, okay, during the backup and restore procedure. The fourth and the last consideration is ensure that your backups are usable by restoring them to a test MongoDB deployment. So when you have backed up your database, you have to ensure that you are using them in a test environment, test deployment environment, and test the database whether everything is working fine. Sometimes what happens, you have you have created a database backup and you have not tested it. In that case, sometimes due to some inconsistency or some errors, your database may not work, and at the end of the day you will be finding at last moment that you do not have a proper backup. So as soon as you are completed with the backup, you use that backup in a test environment to test whether every database is there, every collection is there, every document is there. So you just test them properly, so that later at time of deployment in UAT or production, you will not be facing any problem. So always test the backup databases that you have backed up using MongoDump and Mongo Restore. So after backup also you test, and after restoration in the UAT or production also you test. So testing is always good, and always be sure, test many times, test all the permutation combination, all the ways you can test all the applications that are dependent on that database. That also you check, and with that, if you are 100% sure, then only you can be sure that you have the right backup. So these are the performance considerations for backup and restore of MongoDB. In the next lecture, we are going to see how we can use MongoDump and Mongo Restore to create a backup for our database, backup for our collection, backup for our documents. Okay, so see you inside the next lecture. And before moving forward, I will advise you to start doing or start working on the projects that we have done till now. So create a project, share the project in the class so that everybody can see and we can give feedback, we can share feedback. So always create small project or share whatever snapshot you have, whatever you are doing. So along the lectures you start practicing and sharing your experiences, your output, so that everybody can get benefited from that. So with that note, keep learning and see you inside the next lecture. Hello and welcome back. So in the previous lecture, we have understood how MongoDB backup and restore works in theory. And in this lecture onwards, we are going to learn and we are going to practice. We are going to do hands-on on backup and restore in MongoDB. So first thing first, let me tell you one thing. We are playing with the MongoDB server. Okay. And I'll again what I'll do, if I'll not start from the scratch, but what I'll do, I'll show you how to start the server and then how to proceed with the backup and restore. Okay, so first thing, we need to go to the bin folder of the MongoDB installation to start the server. So if you are using Windows, you have to go to the command prompt, and if you are using Linux then or Mac OS, you have to go to the terminal. Okay, here we need to type cd and we need to go to the bin. Now we are inside the MongoDB server bin folder. Okay, for here I'm using 4.0. you can use the other version, latest version 4.2 as well, or the lower version as well. This will work as it is in every version. Okay, so next thing is we need to start the MongoDB server. So MongoDB is the MongoDB server, and to start this we need to use db path. We need to give the path where we want to store the data, and the path is MongoDB 4, I guess, data db. We need to give this path. Okay, come here and hit enter. So now MongoDB server will be started. So now here waiting for connection, port 27017. Okay, so this is the port where MongoDB server will be running. Next thing is we will open another command prompt, and here what we'll do, we'll go to the same we need to go back, program files, bin again to start the Mongo shell. Okay, so and here we need to start the Mongo shell. So type Mongo and see here now our Mongo shell has started, and we are using MongoDB version 4.0.2. Okay, so next thing is I'll show you some basic commands to recall if you are not doing regular hands-on. So DBs, it will show you all the DBs that I here. See here we do not have any database, so what I'll do, I'll exit from here and I'll restart the server with some other path. So here what I'll do, I'll use db1 data1 and MongoDB. I think this is the right place where we are doing our hands-on till now. MongoDB data1 db1. Okay, so we need to put the lowercase here. So I have restarted the MongoDB server. Now I'll go back again here and I'll type Mongo, and if I use so DBs here, we can see these are the databases, class info, MyDB, TestDB. These are the databases that we have created in the previous sections, previous lectures of this course. Okay, so now we are good to go with the backup and store. So now we have MongoDB server running and we are able to connect to the MongoDB server with the Mongo shell. Next thing is we need to open another command prompt, and this we will open as a administrator. Okay, so run as administrator, it will ask for the access, put yes, and now again we will go back to programs files, MongoDB server 4.0 bin. Okay, and again cd, and here I'll open another Mongo shell with the admin access. Okay, here also you'll put so DBs, it will show you the same databases. Okay, so now we have the MongoDB server running and we have MongoDB shells. Okay, this one and this one, right? This one is admin. So here we will perform the MongoDB backup, and from here we will verify. Okay, so next thing is, suppose we have these databases, I want to back up all the databases. So what I need to do, I need to simply use Mongo dump. Okay, so we need to simply write the command Mongo dump, and from where we are getting this Mongo dump, see here, bison dump, Mongo dump, these binaries we are already having in our MongoDB installation directory. Okay, MongoDB directory we are already having. So if you want to back up all the data, all the databases together, you have to simply use Mongo dump. Okay, and see here what are the folders here, bin, and inside bin we are doing. Okay, so let me run this command in the admin. Okay, so hit enter. Sorry, I have to exit here, and we have to write Mongo dump. So we need to run this utility Mongo dump inside this bin. Okay, so use Mongo dump. Okay, and hit enter. See here, now waiting for admin system users to done. See here, writing test db, right, dumping admin system dot users, and students, users, my users, class info dot my users. So all the databases and the collections, it is being dumped or backed up. So here 6 documents, 4 documents, 2 documents, it will give you all the details. And okay, and see here a new folder has been created, dump. Okay, so if you see inside this, you'll see all the admin database, bison and JSON files are here. So these are the backup files. Okay, class info database, see here, then MyDB database, and then testdb database. See here, student.bison, student.metadata.json, users.bison. Okay, so like that it will. So now we have the backup ready for all the databases. So if you want to create backup for all the databases together, you have to use Mongo dump, and all the databases on your server, MongoDB server, will be backed up. So to see here, what I'll do, I'll use so DBs again, and see here all the DBs being shown here. Right now what I'll do, I'll just drop one database. So what I'll do, I'll use one database, suppose MyDB. MyDB, use MyDB, and then what I'll do, db dot drop database. So MyDB database has been dropped. So I'll just make it little up. So what I have done, I have gone inside the MyDB and I have deleted or dropped this database MyDB. If I use so dbs, what will happen? It will show me admin, class info, config, local and testdb, but earlier it was showing MyDB as well. So now MyDB database I have deleted. Now what I'll do, I want to restore the MyDB database because I have the backup ready. So for that, what I need to do, I need to just use the restore. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just use, or suppose what I'll do, I'll use class info as well. I'll load class info as well. See, I dropped that also. I'll test db also. So what I'm doing, so see, I have deleted all the user created databases. Okay, and now we are having only admin. All other 3 databases has been deleted, but we have the backup ready, so we need not to worry. So now what I'll do, I'll use mongo restore. So I'll run the utility mongo restore to restore the MongoDB databases. So just type mongo restore and run this utility mongo restore, and see here, now the restoration process has been started, and see here it is restoring all the databases. So now what I'll do, I'll just run the command so dbs again, and see here now we have all the databases restored again. So this way we can create the backup and restore the database. So now I'll use class info to see whether all the data has been, all the collections documents are there or not. Okay, so db dot class info dot find and hit enter. Sorry, db dot my users dot find. See here, now all the documents are also there. So this way, if you want to back up all the databases together, and if you want to restore all the databases together, you can do it like this. In the next lecture, we will see how we can back up a particular database and restore a particular database without touching the other databases. In our business or in our application, sometimes we need not to back up all the databases. We want to take a backup for a particular database, and later some point in future we want to restore that particular database without touching other databases. So that also we can do in the next lecture, and we'll see how we can do backup and restore process with a single database. Okay, see you inside the next lecture. Hello and welcome back. So in this lecture we are going to learn about how we can create a backup for a single database and how we can restore that particular database. So in the previous lecture we have seen how we can use mongo dump and mongo restore utility to create backup and restore. So let me just revise quickly. So what we have done, we have used mongo dump utility to create the backup for all the databases together. So see here, it has started dumping or creating backup for all the databases, and one by one it has created the backup for all the document, all the collections, all the databases. And when we wanted to restore, we have used the utility Mongo Restore, and it has restored all the databases. To verify that whether it's working correctly or not, we have deleted some of the databases, user created databases, and we have used the Mongo Restore, and it worked perfectly fine. So now we know how to restore all the databases together. It is good to know how we can restore a particular database, because that is the more practical scenario. We need not always require to back up all the databases together. Sometimes most of the time we need to just take restore or take the backup of one or two databases together. So this is the more practical situation where we take backup one by one, or we take a backup of a particular data that is required for something, and we want to restore that version of backup database in some particular situation. So what I'll do, I'll use show databases, and see, these are the databases we have. Suppose I want to take use MyDB. So use MyDB, and I'll see how many collections it is having. So it is having one collection. So if I run the command myusers.find, we can see there is one document. So what I'll do, I'll try to back up this MyDB database. Okay, so I need to come to this administrative command prompt, and what I need to do, I need to use Mongo dump. And when we want to take backup of a particular database, a single database, we need to use db, so to specify which database, and then we need to provide the database name. So the command is pretty simple. We need to give Mongo dump, and then we have to hyphen db, and then space, we need to provide the database name. Here we are asking Mongo dump utility to take backup of this particular database, which is having name MyDB. So it will go to the MongoDB server, it will find this database, find a database with the name MyDB, and it will take the backup of this. So just hit enter to take the backup of this database. Before that, I want to show you this dump folder here. So see here, now it is having MyDB, myusers.base. On what I'll do, I'll just delete this, because this we have taken last time. So I'll just delete. See here, so now in the dump database we do not have the MyDB dump file. Okay, so next thing is just come here and hit enter. See here, now the backup process will start, and see here, writing to mydb.users2 and done dumping. Okay, one document. So we have seen there was only one document, and see here, now MyDB folder again came inside the dump folder, and it is saying one document has been backed up. See here, there was only one document. So if I do one document, now what I'll do, I'll just drop this database. Okay, so I'll just use db.drop database to drop this MyDB database. So now I'll use so db, and see here, now we can see only class info, config, local, and testdb databases are there. MyDB database has been deleted or dropped from the schema or from the server. So now I want to restore that. So what I need to use, as you must be knowing from for now, that Mongo Restore utility we need to use, and here also we need to specify the database name. So we'll use Mongo Restore -- db, and then we need to provide the db name, and db name is MyDB, and then we need to provide the path for the dump database. And dump, we need to come here and we need to give dump mydb, dump slash mydb. Okay, so dump slash mydb, right? So just hit enter and it will restore from here. Okay, it will use these JSON files and it will restore the database. So now restoration process will start. So now let's go back to the Mongo shell and so dbs. See here, now mydb database came again, restored. So use mydb, so collections. See here, now the my users collection has been, it is being shown. So next thing is, see here now, so this way we can create a backup of a single database and we can restore a single database. So I'll quickly revise. So create a data backup of a particular database, we need to use Mongo dump, then space -db space mydb database name, and it will create the backup file for that. It will create the backup for this database. And then next thing is, we need to, if you want to restore, you need to use Mongo restore utility and provide the -db database name, and then you have to provide the path from where it has to be restored. So from this path it has to be restored from dump folder mydb. Okay, so it will use the JSON file mydb, this one and it will restore the database. Okay, so now we know how to restore or backup and restore all the databases together, and we also know how to backup and restore a single database at a time. In the next lecture we will be seeing how to backup and restore a single collection. So we need not to backup all the databases. If you want to backup a particular collection, that also we can do, and that we are going to learn in the next lecture. So see you inside the next lecture. Hello and welcome back. So in the previous lectures we have seen how to backup all the databases together and restore all the databases together. Then we have seen how to restore and backup and restore a single database. Now in this lecture we are going to see the most important thing, that is how to backup and restore a single collection inside a database. So suppose we are using this mydb database and I want to backup this my users collection. So how we can do that? That's what I'm going to show you. So we need to use the Mongo dump again. Whenever you want to backup, you have to use the Mongo dump utility, and then we need to provide the database name. So -db, database name is mydb, and then we have to use the collection because we are going to take the backup of a collection. So we need to use collection, and then we have to give the collection name, that is my users. Okay, before that I'll go to the dump folder, and what I'll do, I'll delete mydb backup folder. Okay, so now we do not have the backup for the mydb. Okay, so we'll come here, and what I'll do, I'll just take the backup of this collection inside this mydb database. So what is the command? Mongo dump -db, then the database name, and then -- collection, and then collection name, my users. Okay, let me verify the collection name, my users. That's fine. So just hit enter here and it backup will be created. It will take a few seconds, and see here, writing to mydb.users2 and done dumping my users mydb.myusers, one document. Okay, so if we run here, see here, now what has happened to this? See here, now again mydb folder has come up here, and my users.bson and my users.metadata. Okay, so let's go back here. Now what I'll do, I'll just drop this collection. Okay, so I'll use db.myusers.drop to drop this collection. See here, now I'll use so collection. See here, there is no collection inside the database MyDB. So now I want to backup. I want to restore the my users collection from this backup. Okay, so how can I do that? So see here, currently there is no document inside the collection. Okay, or the you can say collection has been dropped. Okay, so now what I need to we need to use the Mongo restore utility to restore the collection, and we need to provide the database name MyDB, and then again, since we are trying to store the collection, so we need to provide collection, and then we need to provide the collection name, that is my users. Okay, and then we need to provide the path. The path is dump -mydb. So we need to provide dump -mydb. Okay, so from this path we need to restore this collection from this db, that is MyDB. So I hope you understood. Mongo restore -- database name, and then collection name, and then the path from where we want to restore this collection. So hit enter. Okay, now see here, db collections will not be okay. See here, now what we need to give, the bson file name as well. So dump/mydb, and then the bson document name, and see here, finished restoring mydb.myusers one document. So let me verify with the Mongo shell. So I'll use so collections here. See here, my users, and then if we run db.myusers.find, we can see the document. So this way we can restore a backed up collection. So we can back up a collection and we can restore using the Mongo restore. So I hope you got the better idea of how backup and restore work. We'll do some more hands-on, and we'll see what else we can cover up in this MongoDB backup and restore. If you have any doubt, you can ask in the Q&A section of this class. So see you inside the next lecture.